All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Girlfriend Hour. I'm your host, your ghost host, Morgan Fezza. And today we have another fabulous guest. We have Ashley Deane. Is that how you say it?
Oh, it's pronounced Dean. Like you should just drop the E and
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Deane.
It's like the Irish spelling instead of the English spelling. Now
I
don't
like
worry, like
it.
I remember like growing up going to the Cracker Barrel when they ask your name and it would be like Deanne or DNA, and we finally just started like misspelling it on purpose so they would not screw up the name. But yeah.
It's so funny because I wanted to say Dean, but I was like, I don't know. I was like, maybe it's fancy, so I'm gonna say Deanne. But that's pretty cool. I like unique
Well,
names with different spelling.
Well, perhaps some people may say Deanne. I mean, that's cool too. Like I accept either one, but
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I guess I'm not. You're not going to hear from me if you like mispronounce my name. It's totally fine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ashley Deane, for being here today. Ashley, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself because I think what you do is really, really cool. So before we get into it, tell our listeners a little bit about you and why you're here today.
Well, first of all, like talking about myself is probably one of my least favorite things to do because I feel like I'm not really that interesting a person. I mean, my friends and family and coworkers would probably disagree with that, but no, I'm like I come home my little bubble, and that's about it. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I'm the creator of the audio drama series OakBridge. It's my first uh, audio drama podcast that I've ever created. I'm very new to the industry in general. Like even before I created it, I only spent one season as a writer on another podcast audio drama called Murphy's Inc., which is kind of led me to when I learned the process of stuff, led me to wanting to start my own show. But yeah, I'm from a small town in Georgia. I have a cat named Clarence. He's pretty cool.
Oh, I love that
And
name, Clarence.
yeah, yeah.
I
He
love
he
that.
was already named when I got him, but yeah, it just suits him and his personality. Um, but yeah, I have a day job. I sometimes I wish that this was my day job. Maybe one day it will be, but no, for now I have to go to the office to pay the bills. Um,
Amen,
but
girlfriend. Listen, we all got day jobs. We're working our
I
way
know,
there. We'll get there, right?
I know, and this is actually my night job. This is what I do usually when I come home. Um, but yeah, I mean I mean college graduate class of 2020. Woo!
There you go.
uh,
Congrats.
yes, thank you. Um, uh, but yeah, I mean that's basically me in a nutshell. I mean I'm kind of nerdy too. Like I say very nerdy jokes a lot that a lot of people wouldn't really understand, but I do, so I say them. um, I mean, one of my favorite things to do when I'm not doing this, I mean, I love to watch SpongeBob, British television. I mean,
Oh, hell yeah. We are a SpongeBob family here.
yeah,
We
read
have a whole
books.
group of SpongeBob listeners.
Awesome, that's awesome. We should meet up sometime. Love to chat about SpongeBob.
Yes. Listen, I think so I'm assuming, were you a 90s kid?
Yes, 97.
Okay. So I was 94. So I think us 90s kids can collectively agree that we loved SpongeBob because it was relatable as a child, but it's even more
Yes,
relatable as an adult.
yeah. Like, I mean, the relationship between SpongeBob and Squidward is that is how coworkers interact. Okay, there's always that chipper coworker, and then there's always the one that's like, I'm just here because I have to be, and I hate my job. You know, but yet they get along all the time. So that's
Yes.
definitely it's definitely realistic. I mean, I know it can be goofy, but it's definitely a realistic show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong. Listen, there's nothing wrong with geeking out because I love being nerdy. I love nerdy things. I think no matter what you're into, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody and it's not harmful to animals or whatever it is, do your thing, be who, like, just be who you are, express yourself, and love every ounce of it. So I think it's really cool. um Obviously that you're a SpongeBob fan, so that's major brownie points.
Yes.
But I think it's even like kind of like with OakBridge, this sci-fi drama that you've created, it's really neat. And I'm like, you're sitting there like, oh, there's nothing special about me. Wrong. You have a super creative mind, and I think that it absolutely shines in this show. And it's really cool the way that you have come up with this idea and the way that the environment is set. And I mean, like, you're a genius. So let's talk about it. I'm excited to dive in and talk about Oakbridge. How did you come up with this idea? Tell us, where did this start?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the kind words. I don't. I mean, I know, but I don't really consider myself a genius because, it's not just me. I mean, there's a lot of people that work very hard on this show to make it, very very good and successful. But I mean, for me, like it's kind of like math, which I was never good at.
That's
But yet
okay, girl. Me either.
I
Me
I can do
either.
this. Uh, but
We
no,
know
like
2 plus 2 is 4. We don't need to
yeah,
know what a right angle is, or
yeah,
what the square root of, whatever.
exactly. But no, like I guess I mean I've kind of always kind of had this story in the back of my mind, really of something in a small town because I'm from a small town. Um, but
Where are
I
you
really,
from?
uh, a town I guarantee you that you've never heard of. It's called Gibson, Georgia.
Okay, I thought I heard
Yeah.
a little
Google
Georgia
that.
twang in there.
Yeah. So Google that,
I'm
because
looking it
that's
up
the
right
only
now.
way you're ever gonna be able to learn anything about it. um, but no, I mean, I really more than anything consider myself to be a storyteller. I've always had a pretty big imagination. I'm an only child, so um, I mean, I would hang out with friends and my cousins who lived next door. But for the most part, I mean, it was me playing in my room with my little farm animals and stuff, and creating my own worlds and stuff. So, I mean, I guess you could say I've always kind of had that within me. But I mean, this Oak Bridge was really a compilation of a lot of different things that I have written down in my story journal. Uh, over the years, really over the past 4 years since COVID came and changed everybody's lives, including mine. Uh, and um, Originally, before it was Oak Bridge, I actually had another idea that I really wanted to do, kind of the same principles like set in a small town, but it was a little bit different. It was going to be set in present day versus this is in season one is in 1991, and I was actually going to go in it with a co-creator. And it was like everything was working out fine, and then he just like ghosted me completely. He just quit, communicating with me at all. And I kind of know why that was, but still, like, come on, you're not going to hurt my
Mm,
feelings if you send me an email and say, well, I just not really into it, but whatever. So I
yeah.
still kept some of the same stuff, like the Raccoon Festival was one that was going to be in it. So I still kept bits and pieces. But I've always kind of liked science fiction, and then how that works. I've always loved science too. Like was pretty good at science. Not great at math, but I was good at science. Um, and also um, heavily inspired by my love for the X Files and Stranger
Oh,
Things,
yeah. It's a
Twin
good
Peaks.
show.
yeah, and different shows like that. I've always loved mysteries as well, like Sherlock Holmes. I love theater, and so things like that. And so different things that
Are you a
I've
drama kid?
well, I was on staff in one act, but I
Okay, okay.
never acted before I helped. Well, actually, I did perform in some Christmas plays in my
Okay.
youth. Um, I actually my mom told me one time about when I was like 8 years old, and we were at the Christmas play at church, and one of the other actors was struggling to remember their lines, and she said, you were up there like helping them remember their lines and stuff, and it wasn't even your lines. And I don't really remember that, but I mean, I feel like it's true. She told me that, um, but yeah, I mean, that's so I guess it's always been within me. My biggest thing was um, if I could go back in time and maybe change my major to like filmmaking or something in this industry, you know maybe things could be a little bit different. But I'm this is just I have so much fun creating the show, and writing, and the development, and really putting things into the characters, um, which I mean they're not carbon copies of people that I know, but there's a lot of influenced by um, friends, family, people that I know and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
Part of Jack's journey is kind of, mine with dealing with the fallout of COVID, and, like one of those things where, what do you do, with your life when something out of nowhere comes up and it's unexpected, and all these plans you had for yourself, they cannot happen because of some unforeseen force. Um,
Yeah.
and then you're kind of back at square one. How do you kind of reinvent yourself? And it took me some time, but I honestly don't think that if that hadn't happened, OakBridge might not even be a thing today. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's um, kind of how I got started with the show.
Very cool. Very cool. So I wanted to play a little clip of the Oakbridge trailer for our listeners. So just so you guys can hear, because I think a lot of listeners, I knew like when I had first spoken to you, me and Ashley had met via threads and connected there because we were looking for some unique and cool guests. And so when we first started to talk about Oakbridge, I was like, wow, this is different. Like, what exactly is it, trying to define what Oakbridge is. And I thought it was really cool because when I looked you guys up and I started to listen to the episodes, I was like, this is really neat because technically it's a podcast, but it, to me, the way that I said it before when we were talking about it was it's an audiobook but way more immersive and gives you the details like that an audiobook doesn't. So it, what did you say? You said it was like a TV show for your ear holes?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah. So
how I explain it to people. But
yeah,
yeah,
and I think it's cool because it still leaves you like from a listener standpoint, like when I was listening to it, one thing that I love about a book is like when you're reading a book, you're kind of creating your own vision of what the characters look like. You're almost creating you're painting your own picture and your own colors, and you kind of make it to what you feel like it is. And when you watch a movie, the movie is like, okay, this is how it is. But this is kind of cool because it's like that mixture. You get that sweet spot of being able to paint your own picture, but also be super immersed and have the noises and the environment. Like it's really, really cool.
yeah, and that's was part of my goal for it from the get go, was made to have it be this atmospheric um, listening experience, kind of cinematic in a way that good sound quality and all that stuff. And I actually, during this time when right before I started developing OakBridge, I read a post on Reddit where someone was asking like for recommendations for something like this. And someone had commented on it, that they didn't really think that anything like that out there really existed, because they were like, we don't really think it's possible that you can have that. And I'm like, and I didn't really even know much about audio dramas and the production and everything back then, but I was still like, I mean, I don't think it's impossible. I mean, you can definitely do that uh, with good quality, sound production and creative writing. I mean, you can absolutely pull that off. And yeah, like to your point, that's one of the things that I love about audio dramas as well, is you as a listener can, you know, make your own imagination of, okay, kind of what these people look like, kind of what they're wearing. I mean, like the only time we ever really hear, like, season one, about what someone's wearing or something like that is if it's, kind of important. Like, for example, in episode 5, there's a scene where, you know, Julia's asking like Jack what he's wearing, and he's like, uh, blue jeans, sneakers, ball cap, something like that. And the reason that that's put in there is so that the listeners can now know, like, this guy's now, for the second half of the season, he's going to be like, he's kind of a lawbreaker, if you will. Uh, and he's going to go incognito for pretty much the rest of the season. And so that the audience has that visual of, okay, well, he's not in his police uniform, probably moving forward unless they say otherwise. And
Yeah.
which even then, like, I know there are some audio dramas that would have probably had the narrator say that, but for me, I like to keep, the announcer's role kind of as limited, as possible. Not that we don't have a great announcer. Jenny's great, uh, but um, but I want the characters to tell the audience as much as possible, and as long as it feels organic. I want the characters to tell the story and everything that's happened as much as possible. Which the announcer technically is a character too, but again, keeping with that TV show thing, she basically, other than the closing credits, like if there's a flashback, she'll tell you, like, where it is and the year and stuff, so that okay, this is a flashback, which
Yeah.
would, in a TV show, that would be a subtitle card. Um,
Okay.
so, like, I say out to say, like, you can definitely, do it. Anybody out there is listening who wants to know, like, if it can be done, yes, it can be done. But, if you have creative writing and, good sound production, it can most definitely be done.
Awesome. Awesome. So I guess let's play the clip for them and let
Yeah,
them
sorry.
hear a
I'm
little
sorry.
bit of.
Just
No,
totally
no, you're
making
fine.
fun
You're
of yourself.
fine. I'm just like so eager to show the world like how, cuz it sounds awesome. Like it's so immersive. So I'm excited to show them. So I'm just going to remove us from the stage real quick and put some of this really awesome artwork up. So who creates your artwork before we display this?
That would be well, his real name is Justin, but he goes by Jam the Artist. Incredible
Cool.
dude to work with. Talented, but he's again, so easy to work with. And I basically told him, like, I gave him the scripts for the episodes, and I basically gave him a little concept of, from that episode, what I was looking for, to be. He's also very thematic, which I am as well. And like, here's what I'm looking for. And he delivered on all of them. And I was very proud of the artwork, which is kind of funny because at first I didn't really even want cover art, but one of our executive producers, Mark Hilton, over at 97 Now Productions, he was like, if it were me, I would, probably do some cover artwork. And I was, inside going, I don't want to do cover artwork. But then I was like, you know what? I'll think about it. And, and if I can find someone that I feel can do it justice, then I'll do it. And so I was just, really just searching through, and Jam's name popped up on an Instagram recommendation, and I clicked on his profile and saw his art, and I was like, this guy's work is pretty good. And so I just emailed him, and it kind of went from there. And so, yes, I thank you, Mark, if you're listening to this. Thank
Shout
you
out to
for,
Mark.
thank you for, I guess, pressuring me to do that. But
Changing Ashley's mind.
yeah, and sometimes you do have to be willing. I will say you do have to be willing to maybe do something that maybe you didn't want to do. Just give it a try. You never know what may come of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I'm going to take us here off stage for a second and I'm going to post some of the artwork while we play the trailer.
Cool.
It's gonna feed. Something else killed them.
Why OakBridge? Of all the places in this country.
OakBridge is a special place.
It's time.
Let's do this.
Welcome to OakBridge.
Oh dear God, no!
This is a code red. I repeat, a code red.
All right, listen up. The Raccoon Festival is upon us once again. This year's Fall Festival needs to be out of this world, with no antics, no frills, or fuss.
There she is, the Nichols girl who lives down the street from my house. She and her mom are kind of weird.
My name is Evelyn. Evie, for short.
Calling on all units, we have a code 32. Homicide.
I bet you worked a lot of crimes like this back in Chicago. Deputy Harris?
I worked hundreds of homicides, each one crueler than the one before it. But I've never seen anything like this.
The first murder in OakBridge in years? What is going on in this town?
Andy and Eric weren't the type to go down without a fight. And there have been a lot of people moving to OakBridge since the nuclear plant opened.
What's the story?
You really want to hear the story?
I do. We don't get a lot of tall tales back in New Hampshire.
Well, this story is anything but tall. And it certainly isn't a tale.
Who do you think could have done something like this?
Someone you'd never expect, even in a place like OakBridge. They are lying to us. He knows something, and he's trying to cover it up. The truth will set you free, but not until it is finished with you.
Finish this, Jack. Finish it.
I'll do my best, or I'll die trying.
A predator isn't going to kill just to kill. It's gonna feed. Something else killed them.
Why OakBridge? Of all the places in this country.
OakBridge is a special place.
It's time.
Let's do this.
Welcome to OakBridge.
Oh, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I think you're muted. Yeah, there you go.
Oh my goodness. Here I am giving a whole spiel. So that's OakBridge, guys. Absolutely immersive, just totally wonderful. Lots of character engagement. So hopefully that little trailer will entice you guys to go run and go check out OakBridge now. And you can listen to it on a plethora of different places, correct? Like Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Mm-hmm. We're pretty much on all of them. Like anywhere cool. You listen to podcasts. And if it's for some reason it's not where you listen to podcasts, I guess you can, send us an email. But yeah, I know it's on the quote unquote big three: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Podbean, podcast player. Amazon Music. It's on there. iHeartRadio. So yeah, it's pretty much it's on Good Pods as well. But yeah, it's pretty much on all of them.
Very cool. Very cool. So on Oakbridge, who is probably your favorite character that you developed that you're like from the get-go, you're like you just fell in love with this idea, this character, this person, and why?
Well, yeah, Jack was the first character that I ever created, and a lot of it is because a lot of the story is kind of not really centers around him, but it definitely is very connected to him. But in terms of like the one character, I will say that I really fell in love with as I was writing was going on, and certainly as everything was episodes be recorded and edited and all that. I said that Jimmy definitely. I love Jimmy. He's I think Jimmy is definitely what they call an audience character. It's like you always have that one character that's kind of like meant to be like you as the audience, taking you through everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just and Angel Kamarlik, who voices Jimmy, is awesome. Thought he did a really good job. And I also love the mayor. I know that's probably the old Mayor Carmichael, but yeah, I definitely love those two. But yeah, I mean, Jack is probably my first my first love, if you will, on this show. But I mean, I know this is probably a typical answer, but I love developing, creating all the characters and giving them life, even the ones that have no names. I just they're all important to the story, and I love them all. So I don't want to show too much favoritism because
They become like your children.
yeah. Well, okay, well, let's just kill off all of them and only keep like one. Okay, but no,
Yeah.
I can't do that to them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the big question in the room, obviously, about anybody who's kind of in the spooky field and takes a liking to sci-fi and everything that kind of has that magical element to it. What are your thoughts on like the supernatural as a whole? Cryptids, aliens, spirits, demons, everything in between. What are your thoughts on that? Do you believe in it, or has this always kind of just been a fictional world to you?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't really. I believe in the supernatural in the extent of, there is an afterlife. We do have souls, and I think that it's one of those things where no matter what your belief is, like one day you're going to die and your soul is going to leave your body, and where you go from there. I mean, I guess it's up to you to decide like where you think that is. But yeah, I definitely think that there supernaturalism, I guess, is that a word,
Yeah.
exists. But in terms of like aliens and stuff, I don't really believe that aliens really exist. But I do find, from a fiction standpoint, it's very interesting to think about those things of, could there really be? And so I find that, very interesting. I think that's one of the reasons I love X-Files so much, because it's like, well, could there have ever really been alien life forms? I mean, it's maybe one day with technology we'll be able to find that out. But I do think that you can be haunted by things. I say that I am a Christian, so there are things that I choose to believe because I am a Christian. But there is a Bible verse in written by the Apostle Paul that talks about there's like a thorn in his flesh, something that he can't really explain, but something that always comes back at him. And I do believe in that. Like, I guess you could say that's kind of a haunting thing, because there have been things that have happened in my life where it'll be like randomly, and I'll just think about them, and I'll like try to shake it off, and I'll be like, why am I being pestered by this? This happened like 10 years ago. So I
Yeah.
definitely think that you can be, psychologically haunted
Yeah.
by things, but I've never like seen ghosts or anything, and I'm kind of a scaredy cat too. Like I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes I get scared by my own shadow. I'm kind of like Scooby Doo, which I also love. I love Scooby Doo as well, which also used to scare me. But I'd say like probably the only time I've ever felt like, oh my gosh, this probably could be real was 2 years ago after season 4 Stranger Things came out, and I was outside, and it was like early morning, and there was like slugs on the back of my house, and it kind of looked like the Upside Down, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, it would freak me out.
I know, but yeah, that's I think all that stuff's cool concepts and stuff for fiction. That's why I love to incorporate that in my own show, because I like to have fun with it and just play on like what if scenarios. And I think that's a big thing about OakBridge is obviously I can't tell you everything because I don't want to give away spoilers for things to come. But yeah, it's a lot of it is what if nuclear power plant, or nuclear energy have the ability to actually create mutated monsters like that, like different things like that. Like, it's just a big what if this were real, how could people handle it, especially in a small town? Oh, hey.
I'm sorry, my toddler broke into my office. My husband had her downstairs, so I'm like, what happened? But we're all ears.
Is she a fan too? Is she a fan of the show too?
Yeah, I'd say you're a fan of OakBridge, right? Listening to Mommy's podcasts. You're covered in ice pop. But so, do you have any growing up in Georgia, especially in the South, do you have any folklore or tales that you were told growing up that were kind of spooky, that may have kind of gotten you into the more sci-fi aspect of things, or spooky things that, spooky sort of things?
Well, there certainly are a lot of tall tales around here. I know that my grandparents would tell us growing up and stuff, and a lot of times you do question, okay, is this like, did this really happen, or are they just saying that? I will say that one time I did get lost in the corn maze, and that and the big scarecrow and all that, and then like, I always thought that the Grim Reaper was going to come get me, because my cousin used to tell me that story, which I really think he was just, really trying to scare me. But there actually is something that really did happen in Georgia, and it really did. It's like really happened. It happened in the 80s up in a small town near Atlanta. And there was this homosexual couple that was accused of like being involved in witchcraft or whatever, and they were murdered. There's been like several books written on it. I would highly encourage you to go look that story up, because it's pretty crazy. They lived in a castle too. They built their own castle, and so I guess that's not really folklore, but it's definitely true. But I like to read like things like the Loch Ness Monster, things like that on my own, Scottish folklore. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, taking inspiration from things that I've read, like literature wise, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, definitely a big one. I've always loved that book. We read it in middle school, and it's just kind of stayed with me. Also, Something Wicked This Way Comes, another great book by Ray Bradbury. Also, the Disney Channel made a movie on that like 50 years ago. It's very good. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of works of literature that definitely inspire OakBridge as well.
Very cool. Very cool. I just love to hear, especially because we have people on the podcast from all over the place, and I feel like they all have their own little tales. So I always like to ask.
Yeah, well, me, like, personally, I don't, have any personal tales other than got lost in the corn maze and the Grim Reaper thing. I mean, there was one Halloween where, this jerk was dressed up like the Grim Reaper and jumping around.
So is that your fear? Are you like totally afraid of the Grim Reaper?
Yeah, I mean, I was then, because I didn't know what it was, I mean, it still kind of freaks me out a little bit now when I think about it. But, now that I'm older and I understand all that stuff, I'm not, I'm not as terrified.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are your plans for OakBridge? I mean, what is the next step now? Because you have season 1. Are you guys working on season 2? Do you have some new ideas in the works?
Yeah, so we're putting on the finishing touches on the writing for season 2 as we speak, and we'll have some more news, in season 2 shortly. But yeah, it's we'll be recording that, very, very soon. But yeah, I mean, I basically knew a lot of what I wanted to do in season 2, during even the development of season 1. So I started outlining right away, and then as soon as I was done with outlining, the other writers came in, and we all, took the outline and put it into script format pretty much. And so it's been, we've been doing that since like January of this year. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the things that are going to happen in season 2. The only thing I could really say right now is, I mean, it gets crazier in season 2, and really just exploring our characters more and expanding the world. And so I'm really, really excited about it. We're getting into the lore of the show as well. And I'm really looking forward to season 2. I think I will say, it's going to be a little different season 1. But I mean, I feel like people, will like it. But yeah, I'm very excited for season 2 and what we have our characters dealing with in season 2. So.
Awesome. So just so everybody knows, we are going to be posting the links and all the information for OakBridge on our Instagram, our Facebook, and our YouTube, along with the episode. So make sure you go and show them some love, give them a follow, a like, a subscribe, and just enjoy it, because I know I have. So thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on today and chatting with us and sharing a little bit of OakBridge's heart with us, and letting us see behind the scenes. But I can't wait for season 2 and some of your ideas to just come to life again, and really get to explore what else OakBridge has to offer. So yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a blast. I had some fun. Definitely have to do this again. Maybe I get one of our actors or something. Maybe they'll want to.
Yeah, that would be
come
fun.
on, so you can
We could
hear
always
it
do
from.
a spooky, maybe like a spooky live reading or something.
Yeah. I think that would be fun. So like one more thing, if I may,
Yeah.
before we go. I will be going live on our Instagram on Thursday, September the 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and kind of be like it is here, except probably just me and anyone who wants to hop on and chat away and stuff and bring your questions and all about the show. But also, what I'm doing a special thing on there as well, where I'm going to go through my the writing process for Oak Bridge, and about the development. And with that, I will be showing exclusively the outline for episode 1 of the show, so everyone can kind of see kind of how it started and all that. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. I mean, not that I don't consider myself an expert on these things, but I feel like if there's anyone out there that may be discouraged about starting their own audio drama, or maybe not understanding how to begin, because that can be kind of the more challenging thing, is how do I begin it? I know what I want to do, but how do I kind of, begin? And hopefully, hopefully this will help to encourage them, and maybe they can see kind of what I feel like we have a very simplified process. And I think that kind of helps everything move smoothly versus a, complex process. But yeah, if anyone out there, you're not on Instagram, or if you are on Instagram and you want to hop on, we'd love to have you for that. It'll probably be about 45 minutes, maybe, depends on who all shows up and all that. So yeah, that's you'll get an exclusive first look, if you will, at the outline and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, other than that,
so that'll be Thursday the 12th.
The 26th.
26th. Okay.
Yeah.
So Thursday, September 26th.
Yes.
Awesome. So make sure you guys go show her some love. Get on there, chat. Get up in that what do they call that? Like the chat thread.
Yeah.
And let's chat some OakBridge. I'll try and make it myself and hop on there. But yeah, let's show OakBridge some love. And I would definitely love to learn more about the writing process and all that good stuff, because I just think you can learn something from everybody. So I think that's really neat that you're doing that.
Yeah, I learn things from people all the time, and just networking with other people, in audio dramas and stuff. I've even had to reach out to them to ask, like, hey, how do you do certain things, and they've all just been very, very helpful. And yeah, I mean, you should never be afraid to ask for help or anything like that. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. I can't wait to reconnect, see each other on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and chat again, and hopefully have you back on, and we can talk more about OakBridge and some of the new developments that you're making. But thank you once again for coming on and hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great night, everybody.
Bye.